I mean, who can ever imagine something like this, right? It just, you know I couldn't. And I'm just, I don't know what to say. I'm so honored, and I feel like this represents a recognition of some foundational work that was started at Berkeley on my side and was an international collaboration from the beginning with Emmanuelle Charpentier. And our students, Chris Chylinski in Emmanuelle's lab and Martin Yinick in my group, so a truly international partnership. And you know, it really was a curiosity-driven project from the beginning. And I want to also mention that for me, my introduction to CRISPR was Gillian Banfield at Berkeley, who had done some of the early work to uncover this pathway in bacteria. She brought CRISPR to my attention because she thought that it would be an interesting system to study. And boy, was she right. You know, and Jill continues to be a wonderful partner and collaborator, and we have now been able to relocate our laboratories into the same building at Berkeley, in the IGIB building, which is great. And you know, she's the type of person that represents what's best about Berkeley. It's just incredible scholarship, you know, colleagues who are deeply passionate about their work, about their students. You know, she's teaching a course right now. She had to convert everything to online, and you know, I know that's been really hard, but she, you know, she relishes it. I mean, this is what we do. Anyhow, yeah. So complete shock, and just humble. I'm humbled by it. You know, for little old me to win the prize. I mean, it's just astounding.
How'd you find out?
I was really deeply asleep, and I got a call. My phone was, had it on silent, actually. My phone was buzzing, and for some reason I woke up and I looked at the phone. It was 2:53, and it was Heidi Ledford, who is a reporter who I know, I've talked to in the past at Nature. And so I answered the phone, and she said, "Hi, Jennifer, it's Heidi. I'm sorry to, you know, bother you early, but I just, you know, wanted to get your comments about the Nobel." And I said, and I thought she was calling to ask me to comment on somebody else winning the Nobel Prize. And you know, I was so deeply asleep, and I just, you know, I was rubbing my eyes and thinking, okay, I've got to get on my computer and find out who won the Nobel Prize. And I said, well, who won it? And she said, well, you won it. She said, you mean you haven't talked to them yet? And I said, no. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm the one to tell you. And I said, yes. And so I said, Heidi, I feel like I'm sorry, I need to go. I need to try to get some official news. And I looked at my phone, and sure enough, there were a bunch of messages that from the Sweden. And then while I was looking at that, my phone rang again, and it was Martin Yinick calling me from Switzerland, where he runs a lab now. And he was just very, very nice. He was over the moon. He said, I'm just so happy and so excited for you and Emmanuelle, and you know, it's just really wonderful news. And of course, I'm deeply proud of Martin and his work, and you know, how indebted I am to him for being in my lab and doing this wonderful work together. So it was great to talk with him at that moment, for sure. And then, you know, things just started to go crazy with
Gonna be crazy for a while.
phone, yeah. I think that it really speaks to the fact that I think for many women, there's a feeling that no matter what they do, their work will never be recognized the way it would be if they were a man. And this recognition today, I think, just, you know, refutes that in a way, and it just honors the work that, you know, was started by a collaboration between two women, and you know, who set out not to win the Nobel Prize, but to do really fundamental science that we thought was exciting and important and interesting, and we led our teams to work on it collaboratively. And that just means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to me thinking back to my own childhood, you know, growing up as a, you know, I had been told more than a few times that, you know, girls don't do chemistry, or girls don't do science. And fortunately, I ignored that. I'm deeply committed to democratizing technology and certainly CRISPR-Cas, so that it's available and accessible to people that need it, whether it's for biomedical uses or for agricultural uses or anything else, you know, research, of course. And I guess if this prize changes any of that, I guess it it sort of underscores that there's an importance to fundamental science that can really change, fundamental science can change the world. I think this is a message that needs to get out there, because in many cases we hear the opposite. We hear that, why aren't scientists, why aren't we curing cancer? Why aren't we, working on very focused problems? And it's not that that isn't important, but the message here is that solutions to problems come from unexpected directions, and that's really the message of CRISPR. And I think it's a really important message to get out to young people, especially who are thinking about a career in science. And I always encourage students to pursue their passions, because we don't know where the next big discoveries and technologies are going to come from. And who knew that a bacterial immune system would in fact emerge as a world-changing technology for gene editing? But here we are. It's still a very young technology. We're 8 years into it, and incredibly, there already are clinical trials ongoing using it, and more opportunities to deploy it in agricultural applications and for other things. So I think we'll just continue to see the field accelerating from here. For myself, I think continuing to do very fundamental work on the technology, understanding the mechanism of how it works, that's always what I've enjoyed doing and what I like to do. Plus, I think it's critical to ensure that the technology is used safely and effectively. We've seen this over and over, that when we understand how molecules work, we can think properly about how to make sure that they work in the way one wants, especially as a technology. So, they kind of go hand in hand.
How are you feeling right now?
I am feeling a combination of emotions. I'm finding myself reflecting back on many events in the past, just my upbringing, my sisters. I talked to one of them today, the other one I haven't talked to yet, but who was very proud. And my parents have passed away, so they're not wherever they are. They're looking down, I'm sure. And I'm just thinking about my college experience. Being trained by a female biochemist, Sharon Panasenko at Pomona College, who was truly inspirational to me. And then just my mentors over the years, who have been so supportive, because that's critical for anybody, but certainly for me, helping to build my confidence in myself as a scientist, that's been key. So I'm getting a lot of flashbacks going on. And I guess the other thing I'm thinking about is I'm just thinking about my son and sort of people at his age. It's a challenging time right now for young people. And I don't know to what extent young people pay that much attention, honestly, to Nobel Prize announcements. I'm not sure I would have at 17, but I think maybe for girls especially, this is kind of a moment to take a step back from the craziness that's going on, and just to kind of enjoy great science and the process of discovery, because that's why I've always done science. I'm just so proud of Berkeley. It's wonderful. I'm really honored to represent such a great university, and couldn't have done the work without being here. I don't think it would have happened if I wasn't at Berkeley, honestly. Just because of all of the circumstances. Certainly, my interaction with Jillian Banfield being the start of all of this, but then having the good fortune to attract wonderful people to the lab and to have so many incredible colleagues. I mean, we've done so many collaborative projects over the years with people at Berkeley. And I've been at Berkeley 18 years, and I still occasionally have this feeling like I'll go to a seminar, or I'll go to some, not so much these days, we're not doing it in person, but just events where I'm looking around the room or the Zoom room with colleagues, and I'll just have this momentary, oh my gosh, I am part of this, and these people are every single one of them is an incredible scholar, and I'm so honored to be here. I still have that really deep, feeling of being very, very proud of this university.
And you're also very proud of your students and the students
I
at
am.
Berkeley. They give you a lift.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they do. I mean, my students are what keep me going, you know, and I'm just incredibly honored to be part of all of this.
So it has to be spontaneous, which it will be. Yeah, I feel extremely honored to receive this highest recognition from Sweden. I think surely of my former team in Vienna and at Umeå University, who contributed to this great discovery. I also think of all my colleagues of the CRISPR field and all the scientists who have really done a fantastic job to bring this technology further. That allows now to have a genome engineering technology, a very versatile one, that is used by multiple scientists all over the world to modify genomes of cells and organisms. So it's a great discovery, and I'm very happy to be one of the pioneers of this discovery.
What did you reckon when you heard the news? You ran the run for a few years already, so they're going to hire you, or?
No, so it's clear. I was reminded on a very regular basis that very likely the so-called CRISPR-Cas discovery will be awarded one day the Nobel Prize, and that maybe I will be one of the awardees. But I have to say that this morning when I received the call from the General Secretary of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, I was extremely emotional and extremely moved, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, it sounds surreal that I say this, but I could not believe it, even though I knew that it would happen one day. But when it happens, then you have to digest it and realize that, yeah, it has happened.
1 week now with Marie Curie, for example, not that many women have yet.
Yeah, so I find it for sure extremely nice that the award is going for 2 women. I think this is the first case ever seen for the Nobel Prize. And actually thinking about it, because I was asked the question this morning, I think it's quite also reflective of what you see nowadays. One has always to keep in mind that in general, Nobel Prizes are awarded 20, 30 years after the discovery. And this discovery is only 8 years ago, and it has bloomed extremely. So everyone is using now the CRISPR-Cas9 technology, and I think it's just reflective of what is happening in our days, meaning that scientific work involves collaborations, and you know, we collaborate with scientists we think we should collaborate with, whether they are female scientists or male scientists. Here it's just happened that it's 2 female scientists, and it's quite reflective of what is happening in our days. I hope it will remain as such, but it's reflective of the fact that science becomes more modern and involves more female leaders. And I do hope that it will remain and even develop more in this direction, because it's obviously maybe more cumbersome to be a woman in science than being a man in science.
How will you spend the rest of the day?
The rest of the day I will spend it at press conferences. I have 1 press conference waiting for me, and replying to all the messages that I've received. I received 300 emails within 15 minutes of time, plus all the messages through WhatsApp and iMessage. So yes, I have a lot of correspondence to do as well. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm grateful. I'm thrilled. I think there's tremendous opportunity for the research, for the institutions, for the observatory, in this work being recognized. You can't get wrapped up around these things. I mean, it's so I'm thrilled. It's not to say that I'm not thrilled, but you can't work for them, because then you'll be eternally disappointed. And what's exciting is to get, I work for the science, and I'm just thrilled that it is recognized. So the prize is for the demonstration or the discovery of a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. And the reason it's so important is that it's transformed our understanding of these objects that we didn't really have proof existed in the universe. So the work has advanced our knowledge or the evidence for these supermassive black holes by a factor of 10 million. And you might ask, well, why do we care about supermassive black holes? Like, why is that so important to know about? And I would say that, they represent the breakdown of our understanding of the laws of physics. I was hired really young. I was hired, they took a risk. I didn't have a huge track record. So it's part of what I love about UCLA, which is sort of it's very forward thinking. It's not stuck in the past. And I think that is what allows it to be such an amazing public university. I'm excited, and I realize that there's both opportunities and the responsibilities. I mean, you really do have to, there are some people who have to step up to talk about the role of science, and that's, I think, more important than ever. Understand that there's always going to be hurdles, that there are hurdles in life no matter who you are, whether or not you're a woman or not, and that our abilities to contend with obstacles actually is just it's an important skill set, no matter who you are.